Alright, so the Buffalo tourism guy is back in the news again. We all remember him, right? If you don't remember him, last year, he decided to put a billboard up in Toronto, basically saying Buffalo loves Canada. And many of you said in my video last year to get that billboard out of Canada. And this time they're piggybacking off the Buffalo Sabres fans singing our Canadian anthem. Now, I'm going to give Buffalo a little bit of slack here, because I really do appreciate them singing our national anthem. Let me show you a little bit of it in case you haven't seen it yet.
Glory.
You know, the more I watch this video, the more it looks like the fan on the left is either saying F them or F that. Then he crosses his arm, he doesn't look too happy. But I am appreciative that other Buffalo Sabres fans decided to help sing our national anthem when the mic went out. Which is why I feel I need to give Buffalo a little bit of slack. But does it mean everything's okay? Far from that. Because we're still in a global situation where travel around the world is messed up because of their country. And Air Canada just announced more routes to the United States will be cancelled. But on the flip side, AirAsia, which is very popular where I am right now in Malaysia, have just announced that they're going to be buying 150 Airbus A220 planes, which are being manufactured in Canada. But in the same report, they also announced that Honda is pulling the plug on a planned EV plant in Ontario. And we can thank our neighbors to the south for that. So we're going to get into all of this in this video. And let's get started with the first report on Buffalo's new billboard.
As the Buffalo Sabres face the Montreal Canadiens in round 2, Visit Buffalo is welcoming our neighbors from the north despite that rivalry on the ice.
Our Hope Winter has the details about how the organization is showing gratitude for our neighbors to the north.
So I want to express my point of view again when it comes to Buffalo, because I did find out that we actually do have quite a few viewers from the Buffalo region supporting my channel, and shout out to you guys. But my concern and what's in the back of my mind when I watch this report is that they may just be jumping on this wave or viral moment to try to see if they can, get us to come back. Because fundamentally, things have not changed within the last 2 weeks. And like I said in my last video, when I talked about the Buffalo Sabres fans singing our anthem, not everybody was singing our anthem, and not everybody was happy that it was being sung. So that's why I said in the past, I appreciate all the fans that sung our anthem, and only thanking them specifically. Because if I general blanket thank Buffalo, there are still people in Buffalo that did support the Tangerine Tyrant. I really hope this makes sense. I mean, it's really hard to kind of split up and divide and who you're actually thanking.
It's really about how welcoming we are, that we truly appreciate our friendship with Canadians, and just showing that overall city of good neighbors, our overall goodwill, and just rolling out the welcome mat for those fans that are coming in from Canada.
Visit Buffalo has created signs and billboards here in Canada, commemorating that viral moment that happened at KeyBank Center just last week.
We've put up some billboards in Canada that are paying homage to that situation that went viral, not only in the United States, in North America, but around the world. So we've gotten the attention of so many people, just really showing the true spirit of Buffalonians.
So like I said earlier, I do thank everybody that sang, but to the people in the stands who were crossed-armed or grumpy looking, or did not want a part of it. You see, that's the problem I have. We know now that there are US citizens all across the US, blue or red state, that are openly supporting the annexation of my country. And yes, while I appreciate the cities and the counties who do support Canada, I would not be able to go to a restaurant in the United States knowing that the server, or the manager, or the owner of the restaurant that I go to voted and supported the rhetoric of taking over my country. So while this year I'm a little bit less angry at the billboard that they put up, it's appreciated, but it's not going to change my stance at all. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with me on this, or if you're not understanding what I'm trying to say.
Patrick Kaler shares that cross-border traffic has been down significantly in the last year.
It started in February of 25 when the talks of tariffs and then this overall sovereignty of Canadians becoming the 51st state. That's where things really kind of took a left turn, went very negative. We saw a big drop off in overall visitation. Even Canadians coming to our website were down 60 to 75% month over month through the last year.
And unfortunately, that's not going to change for another, 33, 34 months? I guess we can expect at least another 2 billboards coming up in the next couple years.
For Canadian fans and any hockey fan who is making the trip into the 716, Visit Buffalo has put together a hockey fan's guide to Buffalo. Kaler hopes those who are in town for the games will explore some of what the city has to offer.
Hopefully going to an attraction, eating some great wings. Although I did see some things on social media where they are boycotting wings right now, so maybe they'll find some great poutine in Buffalo as well. But I think that's just kind of the fun rivalry of all of this, when we can talk about our different food and our cuisines.
Well, I mean, they can hate all they want, but at the end of the day, they are still Buffalo wings, and they will always be Buffalo wings. And you know what? We're welcoming all of our Canadian friends over here, and we're looking forward to seeing all the Montreal fans here at the Anchor Bar before the game tomorrow.
Reporting Hope Winter, News 4.
So like I said, I'm going to give Buffalo a little bit of a pass on this one. But they better not be milking this for like the next 2 or 3 years. And when I say they, I mean the tourism officials. Because like he said in the interview, he hopes that Canadians come down and then they spend more money elsewhere. It's always the underlining objective. But for the Canadians that are still going to the US, whether it's for leisure or business, it's going to be harder to get to your destination now, because Air Canada is continuing to cancel some flights due to the jet fuel prices and shortage. But before I get into the next report, I do want to remind everybody about the 2 petitions that I'm featuring on my channel. On the left is a petition sponsored by Elizabeth May, and the TLDR for this one: get ICE and Homeland Security off of our soil. This one just breached the 4,000 signature mark, which I think is a great accomplishment, because it was like, maybe a week and a half? When I started featuring this petition, I think it started off at around 1,200. So we're making good progress on that one. On the right, we have one from Don Davies. And the TLDR for this one is to investigate the outside interference from the US administration and collaborating with the Alberta Prosperity Project. This one here has just crossed the 21,000 mark, and both petitions still have plenty of time to sign. I've seen viewers from the UK, other parts of Europe, as well as Australia, saying that they would sign the petition in a heartbeat if they could, but unfortunately they're not citizens. So for any Canadians watching this right now, we have people from outside of our country that would do this in a heartbeat. We all have the ability to, and we have a right to sign it. So I highly recommend that everybody at least check it out. The link will be in the description below, and check over both petitions if you have time. Alright, let's get started on the Air Canada cuts to the United States.
Airlines have been cutting flights since the start of the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran. Now, Air Canada says it's ending more seasonal routes earlier than planned this year. CBC's Mark Carksel's back with those details. Mark, fuel prices are not getting any lower, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Is this another symptom?
It is another symptom, Sarah. And if you look at where fuel prices have gone to now from where they were in March when the conflict in Iran started, they've more than doubled at this point. So you can see this is just one of the reasons why airlines are trying to recoup some of their losses, trying to reconfigure things so that it's not so expensive for them to operate.
Now, it wasn't too long ago that I did a report on Air Canada, and they were cutting like 8 or 9 routes because of capacity. And this is way before any of the fuel or gas prices or jet fuel prices, the issue came up. So you have low capacity to begin with, and then throw on this jet fuel problem. That's a double whammy for these airlines. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more cuts coming up in like the next month.
Although it does make it more expensive for the customers. Here are the latest routes affected. As of a statement sent to CBC News earlier this morning from Air Canada, the seasonal flight from Toronto to Sacramento will wrap up August 1st, which is earlier than expected. Vancouver to Raleigh, North Carolina, last flight is scheduled for July 29th. From Toronto to Charleston, South Carolina, the last flight scheduled for September 6th. And the day after that will be the last flight for the route from Montreal to Austin, Texas. Now, are these flights gone for good? Air Canada says no. In the same statement that they said to us, they said that yes, they are wrapping up those seasonal routes early this summer. They do expect to bring them back next summer, though, 2027, although they didn't exactly give any details because they probably don't know.
I'll be honest, I'm a little bit skeptical on whether they would bring him back next year. Because the state of the world is so unstable right now because of the United States. And it's hard for anybody to plan anything like even a couple months in advance. And I'm not just talking about the airlines, I'm talking about passengers as well. Because there's another report from Global News. And basically what they're saying is that a lot of insurance companies, if your flight gets canceled because of this jet fuel issue, they're not going to reimburse you. Because they're now categorizing it as a known event. So if your flight gets canceled, you're going to have to rely on the airline to give you a refund. Or maybe if you have credit card travel insurance. But that's not the only thing as well. I mean, if you're taking a flight and you're going on a cruise somewhere, and your flight gets canceled, you're not going to get your money back for the cruise. Ah, shit. I just forgot what the point of this is. Oh yeah, so if there's now a concern from the passengers who can't really plan too far in advance, then I don't know if these airlines are going to bring these flights back next year.
As far as how long they will go, will they last the entire summer? Will they be shortened again like this summer? All of that remains to be seen. They do say, quote, affected customers will be contacted with alternate travel options, including the option of a full refund where applicable. Now, this, of course, follows an earlier announcement from Air Canada of 6 route suspensions previously. That includes routes from Toronto and Montreal to and from JFK Airport in New York, between Vancouver and Fort McMurray, Alberta, between Toronto and Yellowknife, and many other routes. WestJet has also made adjustments, we'll call them, to factor in the price of jet fuel as well. They are putting in a temporary fuel surcharge on certain bookings, and they have planned to cut flight capacity to save on fuel prices. They cut flight capacity by 1% in April, 3% this month, and are expected to cut it by just under 6% next month in June.
So, confirmed, we got more cuts coming up in June. And let's not forget, this is just Air Canada. We're not talking about the other Canadian airlines. And we're not even talking internationally as well. I know a lot of people are pretty pissed off because, you can't really plan properly right now. I am penciling in a trip, like maybe August, September, back home to Vancouver. But if I book now, is there going to be any changes to my flight? Or is it going to get canceled? Who knows? So yeah, thank you, Diaper Dawn in the United States, for fucking up the entire world's travel. Now, one thing that was actually surprising to me is one airline in Southeast Asia is actually buying more planes. And these planes that they're buying are going to be manufactured in Canada. And that airline is AirAsia, which is a budget airline in Southeast Asia, which is still relatively cheap to be able to fly around the area. But prices are rising and frequency is getting less, so, Southeast Asia is not immune. There are still quite a few flight cancellations around this area. But I want to focus on AirAsia buying planes that are going to be made in Canada.
The Prime Minister celebrating a $19 billion deal. Signed in Quebec, but part of a national ambition. European giant Airbus will sell to AirAsia 150 planes designed and built in Canada.
Thank you for the trust you're placing in Canadian workers, in Quebec, in Mirabel. You're choosing the best at exactly the right time.
So this is big news for Quebec, and I'm very happy that they got the contract. But in the current state of the global aviation industry, I'm glad that Canada is getting a piece of the pie. Now, whether I'll still be around here when the first Airbus A220 arrives, I don't know. But it is kind of cool to have something manufactured in Canada in the area where I'm in right now. Now, I'm going to fast forward a little bit in this report because I'm starting to run out of time. But while this deal with AirAsia and Airbus being manufactured in Canada is a good thing for our country, Honda has decided to pull the plug on an EV plant in Ontario. And let me show you the reasons why.
But celebration in the aerospace sector was mirrored by bad news for autos. Honda has reportedly suspended its plans indefinitely to build a $15 billion electric vehicle plant in Ontario.
Probably 10,000 plus new jobs that were going to come from that. But
he says the elimination of EV incentives in the U.S. have hurt Honda's sales.
It's a sad moment for the potential on electrification being centered here in this country.
So, again, it's nothing that Canada did. It's the EV incentives being eliminated in the United States, which is causing a low amount of sales. And again, who do we have to blame for this? I'm not going to say his name. But it just further proves that we can't rely on the United States anymore. A decision they make is also going to hurt Canada, which I'm also questioning, why are we so loyal to the US auto industry? But I'll save that for another video.
The Conservative leader says the government's plan to make Canada an EV leader won't work.
To call it an illusion would be generous. It's more like a liberal hallucination.
God, does this guy ever say anything like productive, or is it always an attack?
Others say not every sector in Canada will be in lockstep during a pivot of this size.
It's bound to occur that subsectors will be expanding, others will be growing more slowly. The question is, are you putting the conditions in place to allow them to succeed 5 or 10 years down the road from now?
He says the government is taking the right steps in expanding trade to new areas of the world, but needs to be more strategic about tapping into research capabilities in Canada to help develop and produce new products.
Ashley, so for the government, some good news, but also some bad news today. How is Honda responding?
Yeah, Adrian, Honda said that it had nothing new to say today and referred CBC News back to its comments a year ago when it first announced a 2-year pause on its plans for the EV plant. As for that Airbus deal with AirAsia, it's unfolding as Canada tries to sign a free trade deal with the Association of Southeast Asian Nations sometime this year.
So the way I see it, and I'm not a trade expert by any means, trade in manufacturing that does involve the United States is going to be on shaky grounds. So the next logical thing is to make your own partnerships, which is why I do see this AirAsia partnership being a great thing for Canada and Quebec. Now to close off this video, I would like to thank Vince C., hope I pronounced that right, for posting this photo on the Guard the Leaf Hay Cafe page. And this photo was taken from Smuggler Cove Marine Provincial Park, not too far from Half Moon Bay as well as Seychelles in British Columbia. So I really appreciate you sharing this with the community. Now I know some of you are going to be disappointed, no co-host today. But if you have a cat, you know you can't really control them, they control you. She'll show up when she wants to show up. For those that stuck around, here's a photo I took a few days ago when I was recording. If you found any value in anything I said in this video, or you want to hear more from a Canadian and international point of view, without the US media bias, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. That way you'll be notified of my future videos. And if you want to see more of my videos, check out the ones that are going to show up on your screen shortly. Thanks everyone. I'll catch you in the next one.